Well, good morning, you guys.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Real Talk with SLR.
How are you guys doing today?
Well, you guys, the stress went out of control yesterday.
Yes.
Like absolutely out of control. We're managing well today, but man, I just absolutely unbelievable. I cannot believe how it went.
No, it was a complete nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Complete nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Not what we were expecting in any which way, shape, or form.
Yeah. So, by the title and thumbnail of this video, you can assume what happened. But let's go through a little story time before we start getting all the daggers and attacks going our direction.
Yep.
Okay? So, this is what happened. Yesterday, we got up, we went and we took Wyatt to the bus stop, dropped him off, came back, had the kids start getting their chores and stuff done. Gary and I sat, we did our Real Talk episode with you guys. It was awesome. Everything was going great, having a great day. While we were doing Real Talk, the kids went and started doing all of their animal chores, and they started doing, taking out the garbage. Abraham and Scarlett went and started taking care of the rabbits and the goats. Julia was taking care of the big dogs, and that's pretty much where they were when we wrapped up Real Talk and we were getting, coming back inside and everything.
Yep.
And so that's where the kids were at, and all the dogs were outside. All of us were outside. We were all outside.
I was standing right there on the patio.
Right there. Right there. And our backyard is fenced in and it's enclosed. And I mean, we have a small Chihuahua too. Like we got Lady.
Yeah.
And so basically Julia was inside the big pen area with Layla and Louie and Luna. And she was feeding them and changing out their water. And Bella, Anthony and Roxanne's little dog, went over to try to mess with, I guess, get into the pen, go see what the big dogs were doing. And she ended up touching the hot wire and she got shocked. So Bella started screaming, ay, 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 ay. I don't think she's ever been shocked before.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But she
found out.
She found out real quick.
Yeah. She found out. And as she found out, like her screaming like that made Lillian freak out because Lillian was like, oh no, what's going on? And Lillian's already kind of a skittish dog. I mean, We live here on the property and she still barks at us and still tries to ankle bite and still it's very difficult for me to try to touch her or hold her or love on her. She is definitely like Roxanne's dog.
Yes.
Totally understandable for the breed and everything. That's just kind of how it goes. Lady's the oddball out when it comes to Chihuahuas. Lady's lady. But anyway, so Lillian heard Bella scream and holler like that, and Lillian got freaked out, man. And
mind you, I'm literally on the back deck, and Lillian is like probably 3 feet from me.
Right there.
Like literally, I'm looking at her, and I hear Bella get shocked, and I'm all...
Yeah, we all turn our attention towards Bella.
What happened?
What's happening?
And literally in 5 seconds time,
if that,
not even, like I would say it's literally like right after that yelp, it was Abraham yelling, I know how Lillian's getting out. And I'm like, huh?
We're like, wait a minute, Lillian's getting out?
What are you talking about? I look over, I was like, she was literally right there. I'm like, where's she? Walk over to the gate.
Yep, and there's so right by our kickers and where our gate is, you guys have seen us go in and out of it a billion times. We have a T-post and some wire, and then we have our gate and stuff. And right by the block kicker area, as close up to it as we can get it.
I actually wrapped that T-post around as tight as I could.
Yeah, there's a T-post there and the wire and stuff. Now the gap that's right there, I'm talking like 2 inches, maybe 2 inches. It's the tiniest little gap ever. And like I said, Lady is back there all the time, never can get out. And we babysat Lillian and Bella last year when Anthony and Roxanne had to go on vacay, but they went to go handle family business when Roxanne's grandma and her dad were having those health issues and stuff, and she ended up losing them. But we watched them during that time too. Yes. Nobody escaped. Nobody got out. There was no issues. There was no problems. Granted, Lillian was, again, always been skittish with us, but she never was having any issues. Well, Bella screamed. Lillian got freaked out and then beelined it towards our fence, and somehow, some way...
And mind you, that even that gap that you just talked about.
Yeah.
I put a 2x6 in there. I put a block up in it to where it's like, it's literally pinching up against the thing to where there is no gap.
Yeah.
I mean, if she climbs and jumps to this certain point and pushes on it, she might be able to get out.
Well, that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what she did. And now we took all these precautions and stuff, right? We took all these precautions, making sure there's no gaps, there's no nothing, because we really did not want this to happen. And obviously we had kind of an idea because of the great escape that she went off on in Mississippi. And not only that, but she just is little Houdini dog, and, you know...
So I walked all the way over to the gate, you know. I looked up at the hill at where, you know, Anthony Rox's house is, and in between and everything, and I saw Lillian.
Yeah, so she got out. So, 5 seconds, Bella screams, Lillian bolts over there for the gate, somehow ends up getting out. We walk right over there, Gary sees her.
I literally make eye contact with her. And the second that she made eye contact with me and realized that I seen that she got out and she, and everything, she literally turned and... Gone. Dust was coming up off of her. She was...
Gone, dude.
Gone. I was like, crap. I hope she's out on the back deck.
Yeah, so we thought, she's she's going towards Anthony and Rox's house. She's probably going to go sit on their porch or sit on their back patio or hide under their car or go to the garden or maybe the pole barn garage thing that they're building, or who knows. We figured she's going home, right? She's going home. She's freaked out. She's going home. Wrong, y'all. So as soon as she books it up the hill, Gary starts walking up the hill trying to go and catch her and get her and see where she's going. But she's out of sight because she goes up the hill and she's out of sight, that fast.
She's gone.
And so Gary's like, come on, guys, let's go try to capture Lillian. The kids come, me and Gary come up there. We're all looking around, and we didn't have eyesight on her. She was absolutely gone. And we probably spent a good 2 hours. I mean, I got the flashlight. I was looking underneath their house. We looked everywhere. The blackberry bushes.
We went into the blackberry bushes, the forest that's behind.
We went next door to the abandoned cabin.
we went over everywhere and anywhere,
Power
screaming,
lines.
Lillian.
I got in my car and I drove down the road looking at the road. I drove way out over there. And we're screaming and hollering. The kids got on their e-bikes and they were riding around, Lillian! And we did this for probably about 2 hours. And then we were like, I cannot believe this. My heart, I was absolutely devastated. And I'm sitting here, I'm trying to think, man, what do we do? It's
I want to go and I want to be able to run around and scream for her, but...
Are we scaring her away?
Are we scaring her away further and further and further and further?
Because she doesn't like us.
You know,
she doesn't like us. We're trying, look, I love animals. I love all animals. And I even like Lillian, okay? I do, but she doesn't like us. She never really has. She doesn't really like anybody but Roxanne.
No.
She doesn't even like Anthony that much. She tolerates Anthony, but I mean, it is what it is. And so we're like, are we freaking her out even more?
Yep.
You know?
And that's where we're like, well, we need to come and sit down, try to be quiet. And we tried to, hunt her or stalk her in a sense, basically, of all right, let's all just bunker down on the decks. Let's try to hide behind things just to see if,
just be
quiet and maybe this and that. I opened up their screen door and let it shut, I opened it up, let it shut a couple of times.
He was trying to make assimilation sound like Anthony and Rox were home because, when they walk in and out, their patio door will shut, and stuff like that. And
try to imitate Anthony's whistle and try to...
I tried to imitate Roxanne's voice as best as I could,
We let Jaina out and let her wander and roam and was like, maybe, if...
Maybe Jaina will find her.
And if she sees, she's in this area, she's just in a bush and we just can't see her, maybe she'll come out because Jaina's here, I don't know. We literally thought of anything and everything that we could probably think of or try to do to try to capture her.
Yeah, and honestly, the panic was starting to set in because first off, we've been under a lot of stress lately. Life has just been life, and this was just like a cherry on the top of the cream pie, man. And I'm sitting here and I feel absolutely horrible, dude. Like Roxanne loves that dog so much, and she went through so much hell with Lillian on her damn grand adventure. You had practically the entire state of Mississippi looking for her. She went through 3 states just to get home. 3 Mississippi, Sid and Mike over there, they did everything they could. They got her, they nursed her back to health, and then Tim ended up driving her. It was such a nightmare, and I saw how devastated Roxanne was during those days, and I love Roxanne. Roxanne's my sister, man, and I just felt absolutely horrible. Here they are on vacation, and I am just thinking about, God, please, God, we have to find this dog. Please, God, please, God, please, God. And I'm like, if we don't find her by the end of today, I don't know what is right to do. I don't know if we should tell Anthony and Roxanne that we lost Lillian, or if we should keep it to ourselves because they're on vacation and there's nothing that they can do, and this will ruin the rest of their vacation. And they're having such a wonderful time, and I don't want to tell them when there's literally nothing they can do. There's literally nothing they can do.
No.
But at the same time, we also are watching Wyatt, and we know that Wyatt is, he's definitely going to spill the beans. Like, he's going to spill the beans. And you can't, you don't want to tell any kid to keep any secrets from their parents, regardless of what it is. So we didn't feel right about that either.
No.
So it was just one of those things where it was like, damn, what do we do? We're really in a rock and a hard place. So we're sitting on the back patio, considering all of these things, trying to imitate. And honestly, like, we're both falling into a slump of despair, like, absolutely just like...
No. Just...
beside ourselves with just... I can't believe this is happening.
Yeah, 100%.
I cannot believe this is happening.
We could not fathom it. But, so we were out there. At this time, we've already looked for like
at least
2 hours, and we were doing what we were doing for probably another like 45 minutes to an hour roughly, and we were basically feeling defeated. Like, this is just, it's not going to happen. If we have not found her by now, she could be miles down the road. I don't know,
Well, yeah, because like Sid and Mike, when they over at 3 Mississippi, when they found her, she was miles away and emaciated, dehydrated, because it had been days and days where she was just running on the road, and she was a slump on the side of the road.
No.
And they literally had to give that dog like IVs and like nurse her back to health. She was on death's doorstep.
Mm-hmm.
And all I could imagine is Lillian being out there on death's doorstep somewhere. And we got these crazy storms on the horizon. We got this crazy rainstorm that we literally went through last night. And I'm just like, oh my God, she's going to get washed up in a water. Like, she's gone. If we don't get her, we're gone. She's gone.
And literally, as we're sitting there talking and we're, trying to figure out what our next steps are to do and everything else like that, I have my eyes, thankfully, over towards Anthony and Roxanne's like chicken coop and the rabbit houses and everything else like that. And I saw Lillian. She was standing right there. But guess what happened the second that, I made eye contact with her again, and she realized I was making eye contact with her. She turned around and
bye
bolted again. To where it's like,
so we were like, oh, we see her. And so for like 2 seconds, we were feeling really hopeful, and we were like, oh, she came back. Our plan worked marvelously, slamming the door, being quiet, whistling, like stalking her basically, like worked. Wrong. She booked it. She took off, but at least we had an idea of a direction that she was going. So we
perceived again.
Yeah, and we
keep on looking, and the kids kept on looking on e-bikes, and
we spent another 3 hours. The first time was 2 hours. Then we spent about 3 hours because we were like, look, she's close. I know she's close. Like, she is here somewhere. And my biggest thing that I really think, I don't know, I cannot tell you for sure, but I was just I kept looking and wanting to go look in the blackberry bushes at the power lines. But the problem is right now it's springtime and it's so thick. We can't walk in there at all. Like we can't even take a step inside there because it's just so much vines and it's so big bushes. And
Not only that, but all the snakes and predators and everything else that are inside of there that you do not want to step on.
Well, you physically can't get in there.
And yeah,
like you can't. You physically
even
can't.
Even if you could, I mean,
yeah,
you don't want to be.
Could, you wouldn't want to, but like you can't. Like you can't even if you want to. Not without some machetes, and then I'm not swinging a machete. What if I chop Lillian in half?
No,
like,
but then again, that just like what I was saying, the predators and the snakes that are inside of the blackberries, I hope Lillian's not in there.
Yeah, it doesn't get bit by one or,
she's small enough to where there's big enough snakes out there that's a snack, like.
For real. So we're stressed, guys. We're so stressed. We're going through it. Like we're looking, we spend another 3 hours going around, driving up and down the road. Kids are helping. Like we're doing everything we possibly can. And all of these things are playing out through my mind about like, poor Roxanne, man, she doesn't deserve any of that. Like, and it's our fault. Like, even though it's not our fault, even though it's just one of those things, like, we couldn't help it. How would we know? We've done everything that we possibly could to keep... They were inside a fenced-in backyard, and all of us were outside.
I didn't want to have them on leashes in a fenced-in backyard, I wanted them to enjoy their time here. I didn't want to stress them out or anything else.
It's not like they're big enough to jump the fence.
No, exactly, but
And like, who would have known that they can get through that big? And Gary had already took some precautions even with that tiny little thing. There was a stick in there and some bricks.
Well,
so it was like...
She literally, I couldn't believe that she squeezed through there. Like the gap to be even able to push it to where she can get through is like that big.
Tiny.
Like
tiny. Like how does her skull get through that? I don't even know how her skull can get through it.
Like I would have thought that the gate would have been like pinched her up against it because like you have to forcefully push it to, I
would have thought her head would get stuck or like,
get stuck, but like
her body wouldn't be able to put. I still don't know how. I have no idea how. So we're looking. We're spending another 3 hours looking around, and I mean, the story does get a little happier because as we're looking, we get a phone call. Guess what we got? Our metal was ready, friends. Our metal was ready for us to go and pick up and go to Fort Smith and go and get. And the thing is, we knew these storms were coming, and if we didn't go and pick it up yesterday, that it was going to be several more days, possibly even next week, because they already told us that, like, they only have certain days that we can go and get it and blah, blah, blah. So we were like, crap, we have to leave and we have to go to town, but we're right in the middle of this search. What do? We decided we were going to
walk away from the area because both times I made eye contact. I needed to remove myself from the situation 100% because there ain't no way.
Yeah, because Bella looks at you and then freaks out.
And she freaks out and runs. But because I'm good at looking in the forest for things that are brown,
you're good at hunting.
I can easily spot and be like, there's something over there. There's that, like. So it was hard, but we opted to say no. Let's get ourselves away from the scenario. Let's get ourselves away from the situation.
There's nothing we can do.
There's nothing that we can do on this.
All this time.
6 hours at this point looking.
Yeah, just about.
And it's... We can't continue looking. Like, I mean, I want to, but we're at the point where it's like, just like what we're worried about. Are we pushing her away? Yeah. I don't want to push her out into the forest even more or, into our neighbors' yards or whatever, like we have to pull ourselves away from the scenario. I decided to, get Jaina outside of the fence.
Yeah, her pen, the dog kennel over there.
And let Jaina just roam and everything else. And hopefully, with just Jaina being out and about, that she'll come and find Jaina and stick by her.
Yeah, and Jaina is not going to go anywhere. Like, there is zero fear of Jaina running off. That's not happening. That is not happening. So that's why we feel secure with Jaina being out roaming, So we decided to leave the kids at home. Julia's plenty old enough to babysit for a few hours for us. We've been having her do that a little bit more often. She is a teenager. you know? And so we knew that we needed to go and get this medal so we could progress on building, so we could progress on all this stuff. We had to remove ourselves from the situation. To be honest with you, we were starting to get so wound up. Like, I was literally crying. Literally, just such absolute despair. I felt so horrible. All I could think of is Roxanne.
Yeah.
And I mean, I could think of Lillian too. Let's be clear. I wasn't completely dismissing Lillian, but the human emotion to me was what was like, I was so devastated for Roxanne, and I knew it was my fault, and I felt like absolute crap. Because she got lost on my watch, and I just did not know what to do. Like, I was praying and praying and praying. Please, Lord, let us find her. Please, Lord. And I just was like, well, what do I do, man? I don't want to ruin their vacation. No. Obviously, we're putting this out here on the internet, so you guys know that we ended up telling her.
No.
But I did ask Rox. I was like, Rox, in the future, like, you know, if you guys are ever on vacation, or if anything ever happens in the future with an animal or with something, and you know, and I'm left in charge and watching everything for you guys, like, I really was struggling with this. Do I tell you? Do I not tell you? And honestly, I was leaning on not to tell you and to wait, but at the same time, like, I knew Wyatt was going to want to tell you, and then also, like, it's a heavy, like, I wanted to clear my conscience and, like, tell you.
We would
and,
also
like,
rather have it come from us
than somebody else.
Their son.
Yes.
You know, I mean, it's our responsibility no matter which way.
It is.
We do not want to have to, like you said, we don't want to ask Wyatt to lie to his parents.
No, I'd never do that.
Or to hold something from his parents.
Mm-mm.
Like, that is not
you don't do that
in any which way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, we had to grab the bull by its horns and
face it,
you know. So
me and Gary left the kids, okay, and the whole time that we're driving to go, which is good news, right? Hey, got to look at everything with some positive. We're driving to go to Fort Smith. They ended up getting our medal ordered together for us.
So, mind you, we did. So let's go back a little bit.
Okay.
Let them know when, like, before we left.
Yeah.
We had Scarlett, Julia, and Abe all sit on Anthony and Rox's back deck. We also had Bella tied off to a leash and onto a post, because we ain't going to lose her.
No.
And we had Jana rolling around, and my thought was, you know, maybe if all the kids are there, Lillian would think that Wyatt might be there, as well as,
or maybe Rox.
Or Rox, and just having some little bit of commotion, but not having us be there, because she did come up while we were having some sort of commotion at the house, you know?
Yeah, and she likes the kids.
She likes the kids.
I mean, she likes the kids. She's not like, you know, she doesn't love the kids. Yeah. she doesn't love the kids.
She tolerates.
Yeah.
Tolerates.
She's less skittish around the kids than she are around us. I think it might have to do with our stature. We're very tall people.
No.
Gary's 6'4", I'm 5'8", so, like, in consideration, we're pretty tall people, right? So it just might be like these guys are giants kind of a thing, you know? Roxanne's smaller, about, you know, Julia's size, give or take, you know? So all of the kids are less intimidating. All of the children are less intimidating than, you know, than us. Maybe that's why she doesn't really like Anthony either. We're all too big.
We're all too tall.
We're all too big.
That's a good
that's what I think.
Analysis.
Because nobody's mean to her. We love her. We try to be sweet to her.
I know hats tend to get some dogs and whatnot.
Yeah, they get freaked out over it sometimes.
But
so we had all the kids sitting and waiting.
Yeah, had them all out there. They were doing their schoolwork, their notebooks, and all that stuff, and had them keep an eye out, keep an ear out, and let us know.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Let us know if you hear or see anything, but, you know, it was feeling extremely hopeless. We were just, like I said, I was crying absolutely in complete despair. Didn't know what I was going to do. Didn't want to ruin Anthony and Roxanne's vacation. Was just unbelievable that this was happening. Like, it happened so quickly. Like,
not only that, but then we're going to have to, you know, it's going to crush Wyatt.
Yes.
You know? Wyatt is going to be feeling all sorts of ways of, like, I literally just went to school.
Yeah, I just seen her. And his parents
I come
are
home
gone.
and she's gone, and
his parents are gone, now his dog's gone, and we just felt like crap all the way around, guys, like absolute crap. And I was worried about Lillian too. I really was. And she's a small dog. She's not really going to be very like, let's face it, man. If she gets lost out in the woods, dude, she's a snack. That's just how it is. Like
if a hawk attacked Lady's big butt,
Yeah, Lady's big old butt. I know. It's just one of those things where we felt absolutely horrible, dude. So me and Gary, we're making the trip to town, and it's about an hour drive, and I'm the entire conversation. What do we do? I can't believe this happened.
How are we going to tell them?
Yeah.
Should we tell them? And
just all of...
And
we're just replaying everything in our mind. What could we have done differently? Oh my goodness. Like, we're just... The conversation, that's the entire conversation. The entire ride. And we just feel like crap.
No.
Like crap. And...
We get into, Greenwood area and everything. And
right where we get cell signal again.
Mm-hmm. And I got a text message from Julia.
Yeah.
It
Guys.
was a picture of Lillian, you guys, on a leash, tied off.
Guys. Dude, you have the feeling of relief. Like immediately, like the color came back to us. It was an immediate, like, tears of joy. No longer tears of sorrow and stress, but immediate relief.
It's like, oh my goodness.
For the ladies out there, remember those birth pains? Remember when you got your epidural and immediate relief? Yeah, immediate relief.
Not only that, but it was
goodness.
like we were in such a rush because we were trying to get the medal and get back before Wyatt got home from school, and to make it to where we're back, and
we want to be back here and help to find the dog.
And I don't want to have Wyatt come here and find out from the kids.
Yeah, we wanted to be the ones.
We want to be the one to tell them, and
we don't want to.
It was a lot of.
It was a lot.
So as soon as we seen that, I told Mel, I was like, we need to get some breakfast or lunch. Let's get something to eat.
Yeah, because we hadn't even eaten yet. We were just like running on empty, so we got something to eat, and then we went up to town. And like, seriously, guys, like the feeling, I can't reiterate again, the feeling of relief that we felt knowing that the kids had Lillian and she was on a leash and she was good. So actually, let me skeep back a little bit. As soon as we get the picture, we make a phone call to Julia. Yeah. And we're like, you found her. Oh my gosh, how did you get her? So essentially what happened was the kids were on the back patio area, sitting, chilling, doing their schoolwork, waiting, listening, and they were doing their bookwork. And I guess the mailman had come up the road. And as the mailman come up the road, Jaina went and, mailman. Mm-hmm. And then the lady, like the mail lady, I say mailman, but it's a mail lady. The mail lady dropped off a package up at the front. And then Jaina went over to the front to go like sit by the package and stuff. And the kids, after the mail person had already come and gone, the kids went over to where the mail was dropped off because, we tell our kids, even if stay away from people if we're not home, all the whole rundown. I'm sure you guys have told your kids don't answer the door, It's all the same stuff. So our kids were kind of like staying away because it was a stranger and we weren't there. So as soon as they left, the kids went around to the front to go see what was dropped off and go see what was going on. And lo and behold, sitting next to the package and next to Jaina was Lillian.
Yep.
They have no idea how she showed up, where she came from, nothing. But there she was.
Just sitting
there next to Jaina.
Right next to Jaina.
Chilling next to Jaina, chilling next to the package. Where she creeped out of, I don't know. Like, where did she go? I have no idea. I have no flipping clue because we looked everywhere. Every stinking where.
Like,
the abandoned,
and she is
like,
such
everywhere.
A small dog to where she blends in pretty well. I'm just saying, like, she's like this small.
She's tiny. Yeah.
She's tiny.
So Julia told us that's what happened. We told her, hey, get the leash on that dog, take her inside. Do not let her outside unless she is on a leash from here on out. And so now, she's inside our house. And if she has to go to the bathroom, even in our fenced in backyard, guess who's on a leash?
Yep.
Because I'm not
And Bella.
And Bella. We're not taking
not-
any chances. No. Nope. That was way too stressful. That was way too much. I don't think I could take anymore. After all this, after everything that's been happening the last little bit, which there's been plenty of things too that have been happening behind the scenes that we have not shared with you because it's more personal, family related, extended family, etc. That is just things that we don't care to share online for privacy reasons, etc. But there's been more than just, shorting pieces of our metal and, just blah, blah. There's been a lot going behind the scenes and I'm just like, I can't take any more stress. I can't take any more. And then we have this whole situation. And so we're not taking any chances. I'm not taking any stinking chances. I can't take it anymore. But hey, let's look at a positive. The positive is at the end of the day yesterday, we were able to go to town to Fort Smith on the property right now, friends. Right now, we have the missing pieces of trim so we can continue on building and finishing this metal roof up. We've got Lillian safe and sound. We've got Bella, catastrophe completely averted. And that's why I ended up telling Roxanne.
Yes.
Yes.
And we did ask her to see if...
I did ask her.
If... And next time, I do not want it to ever be that way.
Let's knock on some wood, let's
exactly.
say a prayer.
But if it does, would you want to know, or would you like it to be kept from you?
Yeah.
And she said, honestly, I would like it to be kept away from me.
Yes. And that's what I was thinking too. Yes. And that's my go-to too. So and that's what she told us. So
at least now, if that is the case, we will tell Wyatt. Look, yes. Your mom does not want to know.
Yeah, she told us
she does not want to know. If you say something, she's going to have to find out. Mm-hmm. So she does not want to know. Trust me, we will let her all know when they get here.
When they get home and then
when they are home, but she does not want to know.
Yes. So now we know.
Well, now we know.
So now we know.
But at the same time, makes us a little bit easier in that situation if it does ever come down or occur, And we did the right thing by,
Yeah.
knowing that, hey, if by the time that we get home from the metal and it is not, she's not found, we are going to unfortunately have to make that call. And we were going to call Anthony and let Anthony know. So that way,
Anthony
he was aware and he could sort of
decide if to tell Roxanne or not.
And he could hold the information back if Wyatt was to... Mm-hmm. If he calls and everything, he knows that Wyatt's going to end up saying it,
Or he could tell Roxanne.
Or either one, but that's what we were thinking in our heads was I do not want to tell Roxanne, but I do want to tell Anthony because I want to have them know.
But then at the same time, I don't want Anthony to be tripping and worried about his wife the entire vacation.
No,
there was so many things going through our head, guys. There was so much. But we ended up talking to them yesterday while they were on the boat. I got a nice tour of the boat. I got a nice tour of their accommodations. Got to hang out and see everybody.
Looks like they're having a wonderful, wonderful time.
They are. They're having a blast. But I will say, when I called Anthony and I talked to Anthony, I was like, Anthony, I got to tell you something. He's like, what's up? I'm like, they're having a great time, And I'm like, hey, Anthony, well, I do have to tell you something. And he's like, what's up? And Roxanne was right there. And I'm like, well, we lost Lillian. And Anthony was just like, and Roxanne was in the background like,
and of course, Mel left a pause in there for it felt like 10 seconds.
It was not. It was literally 1 second.
I know, but I wasn't even on the other end, but I was there when you said it and I was all, we found her! In the background, I was screaming.
I know. I will say there was a bit of a delay because they're out in the middle of the ocean. So the phone conversation, so I'll say something and it takes a second and then he can hear me.
Yes.
So I was, making sure that the connection was good, right? But it was kind of funny how it all played out. But I didn't leave them hanging. But it was their face though was like, oh no. And then I was like, but we found her. We found her. We got her. It's okay. But man, did I have a day today. And I told them this whole story that we're telling you now.
She ain't living off that leash now, man.
No.
We try to be nice. We try to,
We tried to.
Try to be, hey, you guys can roam, have a good time.
No more roaming for you.
Nope.
Leash life.
Leash.
Yeah. It's a leash life for you.
Ain't doing this again.
Yeah. So I did tell Anthony and Roxanne, and that's when we asked her, and we were like, in the future, let's hope that this never happens in the future, especially with like the dogs or whatever. But let's just say like, you know, I'm babysitting your animals, and let's just say like a rabbit dies or something happens. Like obviously that's terrible. We don't want those things to happen. But let's just say something happens like that. Would you rather know, or would you rather just deal with it when you come back from vacation? And she's like, I'd rather deal with it when I come back from vacation. And I'm like, you know what? That's exactly what I was thinking, because I didn't want to have you worried about that as far as, you know, unless it's life-threatening having to do with Wyatt, or, you know, something even more so like Wyatt's sick. If it's something to do with Wyatt, then I am under absolute obligation to let them know what the heck is going on.
100%.
However, if it's just with the animals in the homestead, I'm sorry, you know, some people might not like it, but the animals are a little bit lower on the need to know basis when it comes to that kind of a thing. At least that's how I feel. That's how Anthony and Roxanne feel. And I'm sure plenty of you guys feel the same way. I'm sure some don't, but that's how we feel.
Yes.
So, yeah, so all that happened. So it was crazy stressful. It was absolutely horrible and terrible, but at the same time, it ended up working out. It ended up being okay. And yesterday ended up being great because we ended up getting all the medals. So
yes.
It ended up starting out terrible. We went through it for several hours, but at the end of it, it ended up being great. And yeah, and then last night we got a lot of rain. We got like over 5 inches of rain. So today, we've got our road messed up again. And it overflowed, and it's
5 inches.
Crazy.
5 inches. It wasn't raining, you know, late or like early in the morning or early at night or whatever. It was late at night.
Yeah, and it was like 11.
It stopped raining when we woke up this morning, and everything else. Everything was wet.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, it was a lot.
What the heck?
And
I guess we should have looked at a rain gauge before, you know.
Yeah. And we had to like run out and like go chase down the bus driver and stuff. It was a mad rush this morning to get Wyatt to school because the bus driver would not come all the way here because, again, the flooding and stuff like that. So we did end up getting him off to school today.
Yep.
However, yeah, there's lots of over flooding. There's a lot of like the water went over our road again. Our road got washed away. Like, it's just more stuff. But hey, like we can come and go from our property. It's okay. We can. There's going to be more work to do over there yet again. We just don't have the time or the money to put into the road right now. So we're just going to keep band-aiding it.
Yeah.
That's all we can do. Right? We don't have the time or money. So we're just
going to be doing a video about it here for Simple Life. So
yeah, Gary's going to record some of that today. He's going to fix some fixer-uppers. And me, yesterday, I was planning on editing and getting a video out for you guys, but then all this stuff happened, and I couldn't sit in front of the computer, man, while we're trying to hunt down Lillian, and then we have to go to town. Like, it just didn't work. It did not work.
All day.
However, when Gary's down dealing with the road and stuff a little bit, I could help you, but realistically, it could be a one-man show for that.
It's all right. I've got it. All I'm gonna do is, you know, try to see if I can move some things around and clean things up and whatnot. And it's only gonna probably take me an hour, hopefully. Yeah.
And then, so I'm gonna try while Gary's doing that. I'm gonna try to edit out and finish the video that I'm trying to get out on Simple Life for you guys today. And I should be able to. And then this afternoon, we're actually going to go and help DD5 with a project.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
And then we're going to wrap around and get back home before Wyatt can get home. And it's going to be a lot of go.
But it is what it is. And it's everything's coming out, you know.
Yeah. But what a day yesterday was, guys. Like, I seriously, like.
I couldn't believe it. The
amount of stress. Like, I'm so lucky that I didn't bust out in shingles again or something. I had it was so stressful. I had like hives and stuff. It was horrible, y'all.
Oh.
Horrible.
So.
But it's over with now. It is all over with now. we could breathe.
Yes. Yes.
But so. It was crazy. Oh. But anyways, friends, that's our story. That's our story time for today. What a day, huh? Yep. Send us your prayers.
Yes. And Lillian and Bella are going to be leash lifers.
Yeah.
For
forever. At least until mom and dad come home.
So anytime it's on our watch, they're on the they're leash lifers, all
Yep.
right? They ain't going anywhere. Lillian will have the extendable one or whatever, so that way, worst case scenario, if she runs off with that thing connected to her, you'll hear that thing
popping
around, or she'll get
You'll find
tangled
it.
up to something to where it's like, okay, I found you.
Yeah. You ain't escaping me. You get tied up in a knot in a bush and we'll be able to find it.
Yeah.
But no, we've got a plan going forward. It was just so stressful, guys. We could definitely use some kind words, some love, some support. All of that, because I tell you what, y'all,
Yes.
we are trying our hardest, but we have been absolutely going through it lately. And a ton of stuff that stuff that you guys know about, but then a ton of stuff that you guys don't know about. And we really could use your guys' prayers because we have been absolutely smashed lately. It's been rough.
It's been a rough one lately.
But we're going to stay happy. We're going to stay positive. We're going to stay motivated. We're going to keep moving forward.
Just keep smiling and
keep
on
smiling
going.
and keep on going. Exactly.
So
with that, we got a lot of things to do today. So we're going to get busy on it. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with us today and watching today's episode of Real Talk with SLR. I know it's kind of a long one, but it was a story that needed telling. And yeah. So anyway, thanks for hanging out with us today and watching today's episode. I'm down and determined to get out that video on Simple Life today, friends, today. Yes. And we'll be back tomorrow with another episode of Real Talk. So until the next one, friends, we love y'all and we hope you have a good one.
And we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye, you guys.
Later.